Good morning. It's Monday. It's Monday morning. It's got to be Judges Jules. Good morning, Si. How are you, mate? Good weekend?
Morning, mate. Yeah, very good. Thank you. Went to Wentworth yesterday and got soaked.
Oh, dear.
Dried out. Yeah, but great racing. Good bit of golf yesterday. So ready to rock and roll.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Well, we've got to talk about Judges Jules. There was a couple of nice winners for us on Friday, wasn't it? Sorry, was it Friday? Yes. You had the Donny horse, your Circa. And that one, I think, won at 3-1. That's a nice horse to follow. And I have one at Chester that won at 15-2. So it just shows it's worth following our selections, and you'll end up in profit in the long run. Evocative Spark, wasn't it? I think that's the one I'll come up with.
The Darrell Holland horse, yes. Cersei, I think the angle really that I played with that was to try and say about how good a race that was at Sandown.
Yes.
We spoke earlier on Friday that the winner, the Rafe Beckett horse, the second, the Godolphin horse, that it was just an extremely hot race. Before the race, they were saying about these look $1 million in the paddock, and Cersei was well beat. But that race at Donny there was a lot of words around for different horses. The horse went off 3-1. It was by no means short price favourite, and really just stormed in. And it makes you think. If you go back to get in your tracker, look back at the original race at Sandown, you've got to cover those 2 at 3. And of course, we got caught out, Judge, didn't we? Because later on that afternoon, the horse that finished 4th in that race at Sandown, after it had been flagged up, and everybody who's involved in this needs a slap, including us two, if not particularly us two. And the Meehan horse that was 4th went and hosed up at 8-1 about 2 hours later. So it just shows you.
Frustrating. I was at work that day. I'd have spotted it, but funny enough, I put it actually came 5th because I put the 4th in my tracker, which is the Haggis horse. That's the one. But it won easily as well, didn't it? So like you say, that race at Donny that Circa finished. Was it second in? You go
Sandown.
Back to that. There will be more winners coming out of that race. It's a very good race.
Yeah, the debut at Sandown, finished 3rd. Yeah. So that race is mega smoking hot.
Yeah, well, and like you said, I think we had a little bit. I think the winner of that race is entered in a good race going forwards in a couple of weeks' time.
The Rock fella, I think.
That's it, on the 29th. Yeah, so if that was to take its chance in that would be an interesting runner in that race.
She's also in the Fillies Mile.
Ah, even better still. You get a bigger price, put it that way. Right, so so we had some Judges. Jules been successful. We've got to have a quick chat about the Ledger. And I think we had the forecast nearly between us again, didn't we?
Not nearly, I think we did have it, mate.
We did. And nearly had the TriCast because the funny one come 4th, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan,
so you got bragging rights. I'll let you talk through it.
Yeah, just said the O'Brien horse. I felt it had won at York despite the quicker ground, and I couldn't see Gregory returning the form, and I wasn't sure about Arrest. Arrest ran a perfectly acceptable race. I think the winner's very good. Yeah, we had a chat on Saturday about where they would go with the winner, and I put it to you that I thought it would have an each-way squeak in an arc because I think it's got quite a lot of pace, and it looks like they're leaning that way. Now there's 2 negatives. There isn't a great deal of time, and horses that have attempted this, some of them have been hugely impressive Ledger winners, attempted it, do not have a great record. But looking at the arc this year, it's not got the strength in depths of other years. The favourite looks to be rock solid, but there's 2 places to go at, and I would be quite confident that Succession can be in the Ledger winner can be in the shake-up. So I can understand why they're going, but I think the fact they are going to the arc shows that Coolmore probably think this isn't the strongest arc that's ever been.
Yes, right. And they do like firing some bullets at these races, and they quite often you'll find that their first or their second and third string have got just as good a chance as their first string. So I mean, there's no guarantees that Ryan necessarily won't ride it either, is there? So, I mean, you've got to think he might ride something else, but I still wouldn't be put off it. I think, like I say, depends on the price. You'd want double figures, really, wouldn't you? If you've got double figures, I think you'd start thinking about it.
And I think that the other thing that I've written down to sort of share today is that the two Gosden horses, Gregory and Arrest, I'm not sure whether they'll stay in training. If they do, I think you've got a couple of serious cup horses for next year. They're both one-paced, but they both really stay well at a good gallop. And the horses that are in obviously Gosden's got the lead at the Ascot Gold Cup winner, but I'm sure he wouldn't mind having a couple of other bullets to fire. Trushan came back to form, but I think that's going hurdling, or maybe that's probably in its last year. I think Coltrane might be slightly over the top, might go down a bit next year. So you could see Gregory and Arrest being quite high up in the staying ranks next year if they stay in training. I don't think they can go back in trips. I don't think either of them's got the form to be winning group races at 1.5 miles. There aren't that many 1 mile 6. There are a few, but I could see them trying both at 2 miles, and you might have two serious horses there.
Yeah, I think wasn't Gregory sold to that new syndicate? Whether I can't remember if they're Australian or not. Whether they might take that down under or not. But I definitely think Arrest to be staying in training, because he was very pleased. Gosden, I saw his interview afterwards. He was pleased with, and I got the impression he thought there's a couple of races still to be had with him. He wasn't, put it this way, he wasn't disappointed. He thought he was beaten by a good winner. And at the end of the day, that if you actually look at it, the two class horses came first and second, because obviously the winner of the Great Voltager and the favourite for the Derby, that they really were the class horses. We did explain that. I mean, the Melrose form, I've never known the Melrose to produce so many poor horses. Normally it's improving 3-year-old handicappers. It's a real poor race this year. So I don't know. It just shows you sometimes it's handicapping. I think the top handicappers in sprinting ranks aren't far off the group horses. As time and again, we'll come to that in a minute, have proven that. But I think that the top top middle distance horses, there's quite a big difference between handicapping and then the group horses.
I agree. Yeah. Completely.
Right, so enough waffle, but we've enjoyed the chat, so we better go on to the tracker horses. My first duel ran on the third. Well, I'm going to leave that one till last. So my first one ran. Let's get this on Bath at Bath in the 4 o'clock on Saturday. This horse is becoming hard to win with, but I think there's more to it than that. I like the run again of Beyond Equal. He's caught my eye the last 3 starts now, if you include the run on Saturday. He missed the break again. I didn't think the jockey got on with it soon enough, and he finished well and finished just outside the money in quite a valuable final there. But you look back at its previous run at Sandown, he missed the break and went up the rail, couldn't get through. And the winner of that race, Rathbone, followed up at Donny on Thursday. And his previous run at Bath, he definitely should have won. He was beaten by a horse who finished a place in front of him again at Bath on Saturday. This horse now has dropped to a mark of 75. He definitely won't be going up for coming 6th here. Probably get dropped another pound. He's definitely going to be competitive when there's pace and a stiff finish. I really like this one. So Beyond Equal is the first one in the duels. Be a track.
Yeah, this was in the 4 o'clock at Bath on Saturday.
That's the race, 4 o'clock on Saturday.
And interesting, that strange trip of 5.5 furlongs. And you're right, this was one of those everything went wrong and still was flying at the end. It was becoming very, very unlucky, isn't it? And very, very well handicapped at the same time. Anything like that can happen at Bath, especially if you're slowly away. You can give yourself a real mountain to climb. But you're right, that's got to be capital letters. That I just wonder where you think they'll go. I can't really see them going back to Bath. Can you? There won't be anything suitable.
It's got a bit of Bath for me. I'd like it to go back to Sandown, to be honest with you. The stiff finish. I wouldn't want a speed favouring track, but he's well handicapped now, so he should be able to find something if there's a bit of pace or a stiff finish. It's been a long time between drinks, but he's been consistent this season. But particularly the last 3 or 4 starts, he's been much better. And he's gradually dropping down at the same time. I do like horses that are still running well above their RPRs, and the handicapper keeps dropping them, because in the end they have to win almost.
Yeah. No. I certainly can see that. Yeah, and I think Sandown, stiff straight, and just get out on terms, keep it out of trouble. It's becoming very well handicapped. Should be winning that in the next couple of races.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to Donny yesterday. My two were at Doncaster, but on the Sunday, starting with the 335, the Japan Racing Association Scepter Group 3, fillies and mares. I think this is a really strong Group 3, and I think it will work out well. Now, all eyes were on Cachet, who, of course, hasn't been seen since winning the Guineas, and ran a race in fourth of a horse that had been off a long time, drifted late in the betting. The signs were there. We were hearing all week about how well the horse was and how it was galloping. Not so sure now. I don't think all hope's gone with that, and that'll return in the Sun Chariot, I think. So that'll be the race to judge that on after he's had the cobwebs blown. But the horse that finished in front of that is going to be my eye catcher, Vativa, for Andrew Balding. This 3-year-old has a great record with PJ McDonald. Now, the race was won by Matilda Picot. Some people will have picked up on the fact that Ocean Murphy rode that and not the Balding horse. But I think PJ McDonald tends to ride this, so that could have been a bit of a false narrative, although the Matilda Picot did then go and win very, very impressively. However, Vativa, there's a lot to like about this mare. She's this filly rather. She's improving seriously and seriously quickly. She started off the year at Beverley, quite a lowly race, which she won, and then she went to Chester, where she was really, really backed and tipped up and was kind of like, look out for this. She's a horse going places. It all went wrong that day. She could only finish fourth in a handicap behind Surely Not. She took keen hold, hated Chester. And it was kind of like, oh, maybe she's not as good as we've seen, as we were led to believe. But I think if you look at the last two, this is a horse going places. She won at Carlisle in a listed fillies race on soft. So she's got loads of stamina. And this is, I think, the key point to look at from this race. I think this horse is a miler already. I think she might even get a bit more next year. She won that by half a length. She's then gone into a really strong Group 3, racing against the likes of Cachet, Matilda Picot, and the horse that was second here, the highly regarded Nigiri from Rafe Beckett. She's only been beaten 5 lengths, which looks quite a lot, but the key thing here is this was good to soft ground. I think if this race had been run on the on the Friday, when it was genuinely soft, even heavy in places, I think she'd have got a lot nearer. She's got a real round action. 7 furlong is an absolute bare minimum for this horse. And I think if you get her in the tracker, there's going to be lots of heavy late season ground around. There always is here or in Ireland. Wouldn't surprise me if they went to Ireland with this one. And next year, I think mile and even further, I think she's a really exciting horse who's come through the handicap ranks. All went wrong at Chester, and it's a classic example. You've got to forgive horses bad runs, especially if they're at quirky courses. Obviously, she was so inexperienced. She's been backed into 100 to 30 for that Class 2 and bombed out completely. But the last 2 runs, the Carlisle win and this really exciting run yesterday, make me think, Judge, that we've got possibly a Group 2 mile winner next year, even if not this year. I think her ability to go on soft ground means that she's going to be out again, whether it be Ascot, over in Ireland, whatever. And I think Balding will want to get a group win into this horse, then put her away, bring her back next year. And I think she could be Group 2 or even higher level.
Yeah, I think actually both the second and third are going to be fillies going place. I mean, you think how quickly they're improving from such little runs, if you like. I mean, the winner obviously was third in the Guineas, so for a Group 3 race, this was actually quite a strong Group 3.
Definitely.
Probably like to see her against her own sex, wouldn't you? At the moment, I'd like to see her race against her own sex at group level. I do think both the second and the third will pick up group races, like you say, either towards the back end of this season or the beginning of next. She's only had 6 runs as well. And she, like you say, if you think she won a pretty poxy race at Beverley and got beat at Chester, you probably wouldn't be thinking that. But since they stuck the tongue strap on, she's, that was definitely an improvement again on a RPR of 100. Be interesting to see, she does pop it up in quite a decent handicap as well. She might be good enough to win one of them. Good fillies handicap and then into Group Company. Depends what the handicapper does with her, really, as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think they'll be setting their sights quite high with this filly.
Yeah, look, she's definitely a listed filly minimum, but probably a Group 3/2 filly going forwards. And obviously by Cheaply Park, owned by Cheaply Park, you've got to think they probably want to get a bit more black type with her. So I think probably handicaps are out of the question. But you know, it's just a way sometimes that it works out. Right, my second duel also run on the same card, and I actually quite like the Legends race because you don't have to always look at the horse. You've sometimes got to look at the horse that look at the jockey that's let's say retired the least amount of time. And funny enough, Paul Anakin came second, didn't he, on a 20-1 chance in the race? Bearing in mind he only retired about 2 weeks ago. Seems a bit unfair on some of the jockeys there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's quite a bit unfair, really. And the horse I'm going to come as a tracker is a horse here called Cliffs of Capri. Now, if you've been following this horse this season, you'd be like following it off a cliff. But this horse's rate has really dropped. Goes particularly well for Safi Osborne and Jamie, who rode it here. I don't know when he retired, but he actually gave it quite a good ride, to be fair. And then all this horse did was stay on strongly at the end of the race. I mean, it was a classified event, and he dropped down to a mark of 70 now. But if you consider he's been pretty much most of the season, he's been running in the RPRs of the late 70s, early 80s. He's definitely well handicapped now. If in a race there's a decent pace, which there probably was here, that's why he finished well. I think at a stiff track, he has got some previous at Ascot. If there's quite a lower grade handicap back there, and he gets in off bottom weight, he could actually run quite well there. You know, when they go too fast. He's down to a mark now. He could be competitive, so I'd like to put him in the tracker. So that's old Cliffs of Capri.
Yeah, it's a funny one, isn't it? Because part of you thinks this race should have a wealth warning in terms of the form, but
Yes.
you know, it wasn't a novelty. I mean, we were hearing in the week about how serious Adrian Nichols was taking it, and the fact that he got a caution, the old being a little bit aggressive, shows that this was, you know, it's not a novelty race. It's good money, and yet again, that race has been won by a significant gamble. This year's winner, I Still Have Faith, was extremely well backed with Tom Skoo in the play. But you're right. You have a look at some of them, right? I mean, poor old Gay Kellaway. I mean, dear oh dear. They, you know, it's a bit harsh on some of them, isn't it, to take it really, and they do take it seriously. But you're right. Osborne clearly in good shape, isn't he? I mean, I remember poor old Luke Harvey riding in this, and after about a furlong, he looked knackered, didn't he?
Yeah,
he looked completely
knackered.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, I mean, the Cliffs of Capri is getting to that point where it's either going to have to win or they're going to have to retire it, because it's now a genuinely massively positive handicap mark, shall we say. And you're right, it needs one of those big field late season background where the race collapses and it just mops up the pieces. And you tend to get them at places like Leicester late season where the ground gets really heavy.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, he does remind me of a horse called Stone of Destiny, who I tipped up yesterday. And they get to a stage where they're well handicapped and they kind of nearly have to win.
Yeah, exactly. But and again, it's a race to enjoy, and you know, Osborne will get that. He's as good as anyone at getting these late season wins. So he's got that other horse that always runs at Ascot, doesn't he? That he tends to get a late season win. You know what I mean, don't you?
Yes, I know the horse. He won there again last year, didn't it?
He did. We seem to. Yeah, Hugh Taylor's involved in that one. I know the one you mean. We tend to be hogging this Donny card yesterday, but coincidentally, because we got the very next race, the 410, we've done 3 in a row here, the Scarborough Stakes, and of course, being from Scarborough myself, always a race I take good notice of. I think we were chatting before, we might have just found possibly an Air Gold Cup winner lurking in this, or a big handicap winner late season. Now, the two, Rogue Lightning won the race, having drifted all day, and the concern with Rogue Lightning was it was only proved on very fast ground. And I genuinely think this was a case of Tom Clover wasn't sure because they backed these rogue horses when the horse drifted, but it won and proved that it did go on the ground. Razzle was second. Razzle came here after winning last time. We know the form of the Mick Appleby horses. Razzle's done the business at top handicap and group level and listed level, and is an extremely classy sprinter. So Silky Wilkie is going to be the horse for the tracker, who came in third. I don't think it. I think, as I said to you earlier, Judge, this isn't what Silky Wilkie's about. Races like this, he needs these big fields. He kept on. He got squeezed out in a 4-runner race, which is bizarre, really. I think Sam James might have to look at himself for that. But we look at Silky Wilkie. For me, he's a big handicap winner waiting to happen. He finished second in the dash at Epsom. He finished second in a big handicap. In the City of Walls listed race at York. So he's got the class and he's got the proven handicap form. We come back to the 8th of April. Now, the Scottish Sprint Cup on paper was an extremely competitive big field handicap. He turned it at 6-1 into an utter procession. He won by 4 3/4 lengths. He could have made that 8 easily. Now, he was clobbered in the handicap, understandably, but we were chatting earlier. He was second to the ANAF, the big winner of the Portland, in a Class 2 handicap earlier in the season at Lingfield. When and it kind of got us thinking that, he's a serious top classy handicapper. I think he's lost nothing in defeat to 2 group sprinters yesterday. I think he's much better bullying a field of inferior horses. And yes, he's gone up. We were saying, was he on now 109, 108, something like that?
I think it's 106. I think he's worth
106. Sorry, yeah. I think he's more than capable of winning a big late season handicap off top weight or virtual top weight. And I wouldn't be concerned at all about yesterday. It was just not his bag. You want to see him in a big field bullying inferior horses. He's got the proven back class in these top handicaps. He hasn't run badly at all yesterday. I wouldn't have thought it'd be the sort of thing that would see him cut for an Air Gold Cup, or whether they'll go to Ascot maybe late season. But I think you need him in your tracker. I think he's more than capable of landing a biggie before the end of the season for the Calvert Yard, who have had an absolutely amazing year. So Silky Wilkie, well beat yesterday, but don't worry about that. That's not his bag. We need to see him in a big field handicap late season, and I think he can put him to the sword.
Yeah, he got beat by 2 horses that both won big handicaps since. You Rogue Lightning won at Ascot, and Russell won off a mark of 110 at Haydock the time before. Yeah. So realistically, this is what I mean. These decent sprinters are actually quite well handicapped, even if they're running off a top weight. Look at Anaf on Saturday, and even the 4th in that. I think it's the first time she's been dropping from group company into handicap. So it's the Mayor of Hannon's. She came 4th. So these classy horses dropping back in grade are really hard to beat. So yeah, definitely, probably best at 5 size. So I don't know about 6, but you never know. He might get the 6. He did run on well, didn't he? After they went past him yesterday.
I actually think he's got a couple of good second places in hot races. I know what you're saying about 5. I think a stiff 5, an Ascot 5, or a Sandown 5.
Yeah.
But I think on an easier track,
he stays better than he did do. If you know what I mean, he was.
Yeah, I think as he's getting older, he's getting a bit.
But he's now a strong finisher at 5, isn't he?
Yeah. I think either 5 or 6, but stiff 5 or easy 6.
Yep, lovely. So I better crack on with it because we're on with the time. My last one actually is more with a view to the jumps, as it happens. I tipped up what was called Westerton on the Thursday, the 4:10 at Doncaster. And how I haven't collected, I still don't know. Because, if you say you're going to beat the 3rd by 8 lengths in a handicap, you think you must have won the race. The horse here is called Westerton, an Alan King runner, a 3-year-old gelding. He's already been gelded, so you've got to think he probably would be going over hurdles as a juvenile hurdler next season, with this coming season. He's been progressive on the flat. This was a 1.25 mile race. He has got the capacity to get 1.5 miles on the flat. So you do think 2 miles over hurdles won't be any problem whatsoever. He's now rated, where are we? Sort of 93. He got beaten off 93 there, with the pair 8 lengths clear. He's going to go up in the handicap for getting beat in a close finish with 8 lengths back to the third. I think he's, I don't think he'd necessarily win a triumph. You could see him running in the old Fred Winter or the Boodles come the end of the season. And certainly can see him winning 2 or 3 novice hurdles over hurdles. And I still think he could probably win again on the flat. So Westerton is my last jewel.
Yeah, I can see your angle, definitely. But I tell you what I think about this horse, what they could take him before they try anything like that, is I would actually bring him back in trip. I think if you watch this race from the mile to about half a furlong out, I think he's really travelling. And it made me think of a race like the Cambridge Silver on the Friday before the big race. If he didn't creep in to the Cambridge, I'm sure he would get in the Silver. Mile 1, Newmarket, you're guaranteed a bit of cut. I think he would have a right chance in a race like that. But I see what you mean. He good ground, Weatherby, something like that, or your beloved Plumpton, kick him off there on decent ground. He'd have far too much turf for most novice hurdles.
Yeah, you'd be disappointed if you couldn't win 2 or 3 over hurdles, wouldn't you?
But I say bring him back late season.
Yeah.
Big field, and I think he could. He might even get. Would he get into the Cambridgeshire off bottom weight around that, or would he be?
The entries. He's only entered in a mile and a half race at Newmarket, so I doubt you get in the Cambridgeshire this year, unfortunately. But that could have been a rate. But like you say, ideal trip 1 mile 1, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but there's the consolation race on the Friday. I'm sure he'd get in that, and you can probably still get in that. There's plenty of good mile and mile 1 handicap still to go this year, but you're right, his future may lie, and there's no better man to school him than Kingy, is there?
Exactly. So he's quite partial to having a winner or 2 in these juvenile hurdles, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, so he's an exciting horse, but he could be for another couple of years a good dual purpose horse.
Yes. Tritonic has done the that sort of role, isn't it, in recent years?
Yeah, got himself badly handicapped on the flat, sadly, but he's a good hurdler, Tritonic. Yeah,
and funny enough, he's just getting to the stage where he could be quite interesting again on the flat. Keep an eye on him.
Yeah. Big old Kingy. Yeah, well, there you go.
There's your 5 for your tracker this week.
Let's hope they do the business. Good stuff, Judge. And of course, we've got the Air Gold Cup on Saturday.
Exactly, going to come to that. Yeah, big week ahead, and Air's one of my favourite meetings. You've only got them. You've got the bronze, the silver, and the gold cup to have a look at. Bit of studying going ahead on the Thursday, that's for sure.
One of Europe's richest sprint handicap, and about 25 consolation races to get stuck into as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, they do it all again. Excellent. Good stuff, mate. Right, enjoy.
Be lucky.
Be lucky.